Hi guys, how's it going? Brian from Boas here. The 2020 baby boa birthing season is just around the corner, and I'm really excited about the possibilities. I think it's going to be a really great year for Locality Boa babies at Boas. I've been doing a lot of projects in the last few weeks in the downstairs snake room to get ready for the arrival of these precious babies. Today I want to share with you some of the projects I've been working on to get ready for the babies, as well as give you a brief status update on some of my gravid females. If you're interested in future updates on how my breeding is going, as well as the arrival of the babies, as well as other topics in breeding and keeping boas in captivity, I'd really appreciate if you would subscribe to the Boas YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any future videos. I anticipate to have my first litter born in about a month or a month and a half. And so, as you know, breeding boas is a very long-term process. I've been doing activities to get to this point since the late fall. I paired my boas back in around December. And I've got about a month or so to go. You know, when boa breeders get to this point, we always get a little antsy. We just want those babies, but you really have to be patient. You know, it's like kids waiting for Christmas, and hopefully when you unwrap the presents and you see those baby boas, it's all going to be worth the wait. So one of the things that I need to be sure about is that I'm going to have enough housing for all of my babies. And I anticipate somewhere around 100 babies or so this year. And so you can see behind me I have some racks set up that are ready to go to house some of my first babies. This rack on the top holds 6-quart Sterilite tubs, and on the bottom this rack holds 16-quart Sterilite tubs. The top rack is for the smaller boas like the dwarf Tarahumara and Cay Boas, and then the larger baby boas like the true red-tails I plan on housing in these 16-quart tubs. And so this rack, right now this holds 20, this holds 24, so this should be good to get started. And I have other racks that I can hold about 100 babies, so I should be pretty good. If I'm lucky and I get even more, I can always, build some more additional racks. So I actually just moved some of my holdbacks from last year. They were still in the 16-quart Sterilite tub rack, and I moved them up to my grow out rack, which I'm going to show you in a minute. I just totally rebuilt it. But it's an annual rite of passage for me to go through the holdback babies, move them up to the larger cage. And most of my boas will go through 3 or even 4 different size tubs or cages during their lifetime as they grow up and grow into a bigger cage. So I like to keep my housing pretty simple for my baby boas. You can see these 6-quart tubs. I basically just have a simple paper towel substrate. I have this plastic hiding place I made, plus I have a ball of wadded up newspaper, which is great, is another hiding place. And then you can see I have this little deli cup attached to the side with a zip tie, and that way I can just take another deli cup, fill it with water, put it in there, and it makes it really easy to remove and keep clean and change the water. And then I keep the larger tubs pretty similar in design. You can see one difference is I'm using this coconut husk bedding rather than the paper towel. And the idea is to get the coconut husk has a little more humidity, and so I want my BCC true red-tails to have a little more humidity, which is why I'm using this bedding. So they have a similar plastic hiding place, a wadded newspaper, and then a deli cup on the side that will serve to hold another deli cup that's full of the water. And then the heating is pretty simple. I have this 6-inch wide Ultratherm. The one on the top is 3 feet long, and then I have a similar one down here. It's a 4-foot long Ultratherm that's 6 inches wide, and they're held down with aluminum foil tape. Now I'm just going to do a panning shot just so you can see the entire rack down to the bottom. And these are both homemade racks. I actually did a video where I went over how I made the smaller rack on the top, but the larger rack on the bottom has pretty much the same types of building principles applied. So I also want to show you guys real quick this rack that I just built, or rather rebuilt, because I had a rack very similar to this, and I basically just reconstructed it, made it much better, much stronger, much more practical. And this is a rack for the 28 quart Sterilite tubs, which I'm using as a grow out rack. So basically, boas from about a year old up until about maybe 2 to 3 years old, they can come here and they can grow out. So this is a rack between when they're in the baby racks and their adult racks. So this is basically the second house that they'll have out of 3 during their lifetime. Some will actually go on to 4 if they go to a really big cage. But it holds these Sterilite 28 quart tubs, and I've rebuilt it, it's got 9 shelves of 3, so it holds a total of 27 of these tubs. You can see I have the top shelf and the bottom shelf are currently open just as a storage space, but I can eventually put more tubs up here. And in the future, I'm planning on doing a video where I go over the details of how to build this. So if you're interested in building a grow out rack for your boas, be sure to stay tuned in the future for this video. Let's take a quick look inside one of these tubs. So you can see I have them set up pretty simply. Just a simple newspaper substrate and a hiding box back there. You can see the water dish. I have a 16-ounce deli cup attached to the wall as a holder, and then I got another one in there for easy changing. And the snake is a 2-year-old holdback under and fire belly boa. So real happy with this guy and been enjoying watching him grow up. He'll stay in this rack for probably about another 2 years or so, and then he'll move to his adult housing as he reaches sexual maturity. So I'm really super happy with how this rack turned out. It's definitely much better than the old version that I had. Another project I've been busy with recently is building another rack to hold the Iris 30 by 40 inch boa tubs. And you may have seen a video that I did previously on how I build these racks, but I'm super happy with them, and I think they're a great solution for housing at small to medium sized adult boa constrictors. And you can see I have 4 of them now, 1, 2, 3, 4. Each of these racks holds 7 tubs, and the tubs are great for boas up to about 7 feet or so in length. I'm super happy with how these tubs have been working as housing for my boas. They're really easy to clean, they hold humidity really well, and the boas really seem to feel safe and comfortable in them. In fact, I've had boas that rubbed against glass-fronted plastic cages, and I move them into these tubs and they feel right at home. Let's take a quick look inside one of these tubs in this rack. You can see I have an aspen as a substrate with a water dish in the corner. We have a cork bark hide and then a hide made out of a plastic oil pan. And then you can see the snake is a beautiful male North Brazilian red-tailed boa. This guy's about 5 years old or so, and he's approaching maturity. Another important step that I've taken to get ready for the 2020 baby boas is to increase my mouse breeding activities. So during the rest of the year, I'll typically have 2 or 3 tubs of mice, each containing about 4 females and 1 male that produce mice, feeder mice. But for the breeding season, I'll amp it up to 5 or 6 breeding tubs, each with 4 females and a male. I just want to make sure that I have a constant supply of mice of all different sizes, from fuzzies up to adult mice. Just because I know that a lot of my locality boas, particularly the dwarf island boas, are kind of picky about eating frozen thawed food from the beginning, and I need to have fresh and live items available so that they'll eat them. Now I want to give you a brief look at a couple of my gravid females. This is my Hog Island female, and she may well be my first litter of 2020. She's basically just been sitting on top of the hut spot, just kind of coiled up like that. Don't want to disturb her too much, but you can see she's pretty visibly swollen. So hopefully she's got some nice babies cooking in her. Hopefully not slugs, but we'll just have to see. There's, of course, no guarantees. But so far, this one is looking real good. And I would expect that her babies will be born sometime in early to mid-July. Another female that's looking really gravid right now is my crawl key female. So let's just take a quick look at her. Oh, she's under the cork bark. Let me just move this carefully. So yeah, you can see she's coiled up nice and tight, and you can see she's kind of on her side, so they'll kind of slant their body slightly on their side just to maintain the optimal conditions for incubating the babies. And this girl really hasn't moved very much. She's actually not quite on top of the hot spot now. She kind of moves back and forth between the hot spot and the cooler end of the tank, but she's been consistently maintaining about 88-degree body temperature. So hopefully some nice Growl Cay babies cooking up in there. And so I'm really excited about this pairing, since I actually paired them up the previous year and I didn't get any breeding activity from the male. He was a new male. But this year he has really done a good job, and looks like he's got some babies on the way. And this girl I expect to be delivering probably sometime in early August. I thought I'd get out the male Growl Cay to give you a quick look at him. You can see he's in shed right now, so his colors are a little dull. But this is a really cool boa. This guy is maybe 3.5 feet long. He's definitely one of the smallest adult boas in my collection. And since I got him about 2 years ago from a buddy of mine, he's quickly become one of my favorites. Just a super laid-back personality. Great boa to take out and handle. Just really chill, and you know, you can see he squeezes a little bit, but not too much, and just love the feel of the muscle of this boa. And so if you're thinking about a Growl Cay boa, it's a highly recommended locality. Definitely one of my favorite of the types of the dwarf boas. Another locality pairing that I'm super excited about is the Tamatama Venezuela Red-Tailed Boas. And this is a very rare dwarf locality of red tails. This is a 6-year-old male, and you can see he's maybe 4.5 feet long. Female's about a foot or so longer. And this is a bloodline that was established by Terry Cullen, the noted crocodile breeder. And I think it's very rare. I don't know of anyone else who has these. Just a really cool, smaller boa. Looks a little bit like a Peruvian with the yellowish coloration, but also looks a little bit like a Colombian true red tail. It's a really neat boa. So I just went to check on this guy and grab him, and he's actually still was paired with the female. And what I found in there was this, which I'm 99% sure is the post-ovulation shed for my female. And actually she's coiled up now, so fingers crossed that she's gravid at last. You know, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, it's a long-term process, and it basically takes about 5 or 6 months to go from introducing to the gravid females. Typically I'll hold on to these post-ovulation sheds. It's kind of a good luck omen, and I have them hanging up in my upstairs snake room. Just, you know, I figure it's a good idea to hold on to them, and maybe it'll bring me a little bit of luck from the boa breeding gods. So that's a little bit about what's been going on at Brian Boas. And again, we're looking for a very good, productive boa birthing season starting in a couple months. I hope this was helpful to you guys. As always, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to me on social media. Thanks for watching, and enjoy your boas.